This is Byron Gordon for the SES Conference Channel. We have finished up day one here at SES Toronto, and we have with us Krista of Bootcamp Digital. How are you, Krista?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Thanks so much for joining us. While everybody is cavorting and socializing, you're spending a few minutes with us. We appreciate it. Krista, you're going to be on a panel tomorrow. Social media, do big companies get it? So I thought maybe you could preview a little bit about the significance of social media today for SEOs, SEMs. I guess the first question, well, do big companies get it? How important is it for big companies to get it?
Yeah, I think social media is really important for companies of any size. And, you know, the first thing that I typically do when I work with a company is I'll do a Google search or a Twitter search to see how many people are talking about them. And even brands that may seem mundane tend to have, you know, thousands of blog mentions every month and, you know, hundreds and hundreds of Twitter mentions, right? And so, you know, the reality is that the conversation is going on, so people are talking about your brand, and the real question is, are you going to engage in that conversation and talk back and participate, or do you want to let the conversation run rampant on its own?
Give us some examples of either, well, say some companies that are actually getting it and are practicing good social media strategy.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of companies that do a really good job. Zappos is typically stated as one of them, and I think they do a fantastic job, particularly on Twitter. So the CEO is on Twitter. He has hundreds of thousands of Twitter followers, which obviously, you know, is building brand equity both for himself and for the company. So they're a really great example of a company that does well on Twitter. If you look at Twitter, you can also see JetBlue does a great job, as does Southwest, of responding to customers. So you could go on Twitter and say, at JetBlue, my flight just got canceled, this totally sucks. And they'll respond and say, hey, how can we help reroute you? And so you can get instant feedback without having to call and, you know, press 0 and 5 and 2 and 3 and 4 and talk to a variety of automated messages. So what's cool about the companies that are doing a great job of Twitter is that they actually are interacting back with you real time. And it's like customer service gone public, right? So it has some different implications than typical customer service does. So those are a few companies that are doing a great job. If you look at Southwest, they also have a really great blog. It's really engaging and they get a lot of comments back on it. And so I think it's kind of having that integrated approach where you're really showcasing the personality of your company through social media.
Have there been any examples of some classic social media no-nos, either practiced by a big company or otherwise?
There's lots. I think one of the things that a lot of people are talking about on social media now is the issues with spam. And that's something that I think big brands don't do and big companies don't do because they're smart enough not to do it, but they are periodically called out for it, especially when they get agencies involved, it can become an issue. But if you look at Twitter right now, one of the biggest issues, for example, on my own Twitter account, over the last day, I probably got 50 direct messages that were essentially all spam messages. So they're sent automatically by bots of people who are following me. And that kind of degrades the value of the experience for everyone. And I think you can see that on Facebook also, where on Facebook, people are finding that they'll go and check their inbox, and most of it is from companies and brands that they follow and not people. You know, and their real reason for being there is to connecting with people. And so I think companies need to be really respectful of the fact that they are engaging in a personal space and it's social by nature. And so they need to do a better job of kind of respecting that boundary so that it doesn't start to degrade the social network. If you look at MySpace, for example, a lot of people say MySpace is dead. And I think one of the reasons is MySpace never did a good job of moderating spam. And so companies or people promoting different things accost you on MySpace all the time. And so I think, you know, the social networks that succeed over time will be the ones that help people to interact with companies and other people in a natural and organic way and kind of eliminate all the noise from the shuffle.
So finally, I guess, Krista, some companies might spend more time tweeting or blogging. Is it really, you don't necessarily have to be doing all of those things, right?
No, it really depends on what your marketing objectives are. And I think that a lot of people get caught up in social media, right? And they see Twitter is growing and everyone says, oh, I need to be on Twitter, right? And yeah, maybe you should be, but maybe you shouldn't. And I think the first thing that companies need to ask themselves is, what is my marketing objective? So like overall, what's my purpose for engaging in social media? What do I hope to get out of it? And that also goes for individuals. Twitter recently reported that they have not very great reuse statistics. So people sign up for Twitter and don't get a lot out of it, and they don't come back. And so I think the first question anyone, whether you're a company or an individual, needs to say is, what's my main purpose for being in this medium? Who am I hoping to connect with? What am I going to provide them that's valuable? And I think once you've answered that, it comes really naturally. And the same goes for a blog. If you want to launch a blog, what are you doing that's really valuable, and how are you providing unique perspective in the marketplace? There's something like, I want to say like 25 million blogs out there and something like 96 million blog readers. So that means there's 3 people reading each blog if you assume a normal distribution or an average weighted distribution. And so the reality is you really need to be providing people with something that's unique in order for them to engage with you. And I think whether it's Twitter or any social media or any marketing that you're doing, it's the same question, which is, what am I really giving people that's valuable, and how am I providing them with something unique in the marketplace? So really, it's the same marketing principles that apply to product creation that flow into social media. And I think people need to take some more time to answer those questions before jumping in.
Thanks so much for talking to us, Krista.
Thank you for talking to me.
Some social media wisdom from SES Toronto, day 1. More to come. Stay tuned.